If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. Joe Flacco, the veteran gunslinger who once lifted the Lombardi Trophy for the Baltimore Ravens, has officially become the centerpiece of one of the most unexpected and historically rare trades in modern NFL history. For the first time since the Cleveland Browns were reinstated into the league in 1999, they have pulled off a trade with their divisional rival, the Cincinnati Bengals. And it wasn't for a mid-tier special teams player or a practice squad cornerback. It was for a quarterback. Not just any quarterback, but Joe Flacco, the man who has now made it a full tour around the AFC North. Drafted by the Ravens in 2008, resurrected by the Browns in 2023, and now packing his bags for Cincinnati in 2025, Flacco is about to do something no quarterback in the Super Bowl era has ever done: start for 3 different teams in the same division. When you think of football storylines that feel almost cinematic, this one writes itself. The move is not just rare, it's almost mythical in NFL circles. This marks only the 3rd intra-division quarterback trade this century. Before Flacco, the last 2 times this happened were way back in the early 2000s, when the Philadelphia Eagles shipped Donovan McNabb to Washington in 2010, and when the New England Patriots sent Drew Bledsoe to the Buffalo Bills in 2001. And both of those deals sent shockwaves across their divisions. This one, though, feels even more unique, because it involves a 41-year-old quarterback who has not only been around the block, but built the block, tore it down, and rebuilt it again. Joe Flacco is now stepping into a Bengals organization desperate for stability under center, while Joe Burrow continues to recover from a nagging toe injury that has derailed Cincinnati's season since Week 2. It's a wild twist of fate. Just 2 years ago, Flacco was sitting on his couch, unsure if he'd ever play again, until the Browns picked up the phone in 2023 and handed him one last shot at redemption. And he delivered, at least for a while. He turned Cleveland's late-season chaos into a playoff berth, winning over the hearts of the Dawg Pound with that familiar cool-headed composure and cannon arm that made him a Super Bowl MVP a decade earlier. But fast forward to 2025, and things had changed. For games into the season, Flacco was 1-3, the Browns' offense looked stale, and whispers began to grow louder that his arm strength and reaction time weren't what they used to be. That's when rookie Dillon Gabriel got the nod to start against Minnesota, signaling the end of an era in Cleveland before anyone could even process it. The Browns' depth chart suddenly looked like something out of a preseason game, with Deshaun Watson still stuck on the physically unable to perform list as he recovers from his Achilles injury. The team turned to its rookies for answers. Dillon Gabriel took the reins, while Shedeur Sanders, yes, Deion Sanders' son, was slotted as the backup after spending 5 weeks as an emergency third-string option. Bailey Zappe, the 2022 4th-round pick currently sitting on the Browns' practice squad, might even get a look soon. Cleveland's quarterback room is now a collection of youth and potential, completely shifting from the veteran leadership model they built around Flacco. And while the trade may sting for fans who loved his 2023 heroics, even local analysts like Nick Pedone from Big Play Sports Network admitted that the move might actually be a blessing in disguise. Pedone didn't sugarcoat it. He said, "It was a step in the right direction because of how bad Joe Flacco was and how hamstrung the Browns' offensive operation was." That's a brutal critique for a guy who just a year ago was hailed as the Browns' savior. But it captures the reality of football. It's a "what have you done for me lately" business. And lately, Flacco's deep ball accuracy and pocket mobility were a far cry from his prime days. Pedone added that while he wasn't sold on rookie Dillon Gabriel yet, getting Flacco out of the equation was necessary for Cleveland to evolve offensively. The team needed a reset, and that reset came in the form of sending a 41-year-old legend down the interstate to Cincinnati. For the Bengals, though, this trade represents something entirely different: survival. They've lost 3 straight games. Their offense has looked anemic without Burrow, and head coach Zach Taylor made it clear he wasn't exactly confident in Jake Browning as a long-term option. Enter Joe Flacco, the veteran who has seen every defensive scheme imaginable, who knows what it's like to play in hostile AFC North environments, and who brings instant credibility to a locker room that's been teetering on frustration. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Bengals are wasting no time. They hope Flacco will be ready to start against Green Bay this weekend. If that happens, it'll mark the second time in 3 weeks Flacco has faced the Packers, and this time he'll be wearing stripes instead of orange and brown. Imagine the storyline if Flacco's first big test in Cincinnati comes against Green Bay, a team he just faced as a Brown, and then, if fate allows, he lines up again in Week 18 to play against his former team, the Cleveland Browns, with potential playoff implications on the line. That's Hollywood-level drama. And if Flacco manages to win even a couple of those games, he could keep Cincinnati's season alive just long enough for Burrow to return and make a late postseason push. The irony is palpable. A man who was once the face of Baltimore, then the temporary savior of Cleveland, could now be the one to help Cincinnati stay in the playoff race. It's hard to overstate how strange it will look seeing Flacco in Bengals orange. He's synonymous with the Ravens' black and purple, the grit of their 2012 Super Bowl run, and those years of fierce battles with both the Browns and Bengals. Now, he's on the other side, ready to lead the very teams he used to dominate. And make no mistake, Cincinnati fans know his pedigree. They remember those cold December nights when Flacco carved up their defense with surgical precision. If he still has a fraction of that magic left, the Bengals might just buy themselves enough time to survive Burrow's absence. Of course, there are fantasy football implications, too. Analysts like Eric Moody are already scrambling to figure out what this means for wideouts like Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. Flacco's deep ball tendencies could open up big play potential for both receivers, something the Bengals haven't seen much of since Burrow went down. The question, though, is whether Flacco's arm still has the juice to hit those tight windows 30 yards downfield. For fantasy owners, he's a risky play, but for Cincinnati, he's a necessary gamble. From Cleveland's perspective, this deal also frees up reps and practice snaps for their young quarterbacks to grow. The Browns are clearly shifting focus to the future, preparing for the return of Watson while evaluating what they have in Gabriel and Sanders. And while some fans are sad to see Flacco go, others recognize the importance of moving forward. Cleveland's front office made a bold statement. They're done living in the past. They're betting on development over nostalgia. For Joe Flacco, though, this trade might just be one more chance to prove he can still sling it with the best of them. He's a proud competitor, one who's seen his fair share of ups and downs, and there's no doubt he'll use this as fuel. The idea of walking into Paycor Stadium, suiting up for a new AFC North team, and possibly facing his old squad before the season ends, it's poetic. Few quarterbacks in history have experienced a career arc like this. So here we are, in October 2025, talking about Joe Flacco once again. A name that refuses to fade from NFL conversations. A career that spanned generations of players, coaches, and rivalries. And somehow, against all odds, he's right back in the middle of the AFC North chaos. Whether this story ends in triumph or heartbreak, one thing's for sure. It's going to be must-watch football. Because love him or hate him, Joe Flacco keeps finding ways to make NFL history. The trade might have stunned fans, but in many ways, it's the perfect encapsulation of the league itself. Unpredictable, ruthless, and beautifully dramatic. And if you're a football fan, you have to appreciate that. Whether he's throwing touchdowns, interceptions, or just breaking records by being in the right place at the right time, Joe Flacco has officially become one of the most fascinating figures in modern NFL lore. From Baltimore to Cleveland to Cincinnati, the man who once defined the phrase elite debate has now become a walking piece of football history. And if he gets one more shot to start under those bright lights, don't be surprised if Joe Cool delivers one last vintage performance before he rides off into the sunset, this time wearing Bengal stripes. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. Breaking news is shaking the football world tonight. And if you thought this offseason was predictable, think again. The Cleveland Browns have sent shockwaves through the NFL community with a move that no one saw coming. Shedeur Sanders, the young rising star quarterback whose name has been on every analyst's radar since his college days, has been cut from the team. Yes, you heard that right. Shedeur Sanders, once hailed as a generational talent and a potential face of the franchise for years to come, is now suddenly a free agent. The news dropped like a bombshell, catching not just fans, but insiders and league experts off guard. And as you might expect, the reaction from the Browns fan base has been nothing short of explosive. Social media is ablaze with outrage, disbelief, and, frankly, a lot of confusion. People are questioning the front office's decision-making, the coaching staff strategy, and even the very direction of the franchise. Some fans are calling it the worst move in the modern history of the team. Others are scrambling to rationalize what they've just witnessed, trying to find a shred of logic in a decision that, at least on the surface, makes none. Sources close to the team hint that internal dynamics, strategy debates, and perhaps even personality clashes may have played a role in this seismic decision. But let's be honest, the narrative is messy, complicated, and juicy. Sanders, who came into the league with sky-high expectations, was seen by many as a lock to eventually become the starting quarterback and, in time, the face of Cleveland football. His skill set, poise in the pocket, and football IQ were talked about in hushed, reverent tones among analysts and teammates alike. So, for him to be released in such a sudden and, frankly, brutal fashion has left fans scrambling to make sense of it. The timing alone is eyebrow-raising. This isn't the end of a grueling season where performance can be evaluated over months. No, this is a strategic, early, and shocking move. One that screams of internal unrest or, at the very least, a major recalibration in the team's long-term plans. The reaction online has been, predictably, fiery. Twitter, X, and all other major platforms are filled with fans expressing everything from disbelief to pure fury. Hashtags calling for accountability from the front office are trending. Memes are circulating at a breakneck speed, painting general managers as reckless, impulsive, and out of touch with the realities of the sport. Meanwhile, sports talk shows are lining up guests who can dissect the move from every conceivable angle. But even among professionals, there's a sense of genuine bewilderment. Some pundits are framing this as a high-risk, high-reward gamble, while others are downright calling it a catastrophe that could set the franchise back years. The consensus? Cleveland Browns fans are not taking this lightly, and the ripple effects on ticket sales, merchandise, and general team morale are likely to be felt sooner rather than later. Adding more fuel to the fire, insiders suggest that Sanders' departure wasn't entirely about performance. There are murmurs of friction with coaching staff, reports of behind-the-scenes disagreements over play style and team direction, and whispers about off-field dynamics that may have contributed to the decision. In other words, this isn't just a football story. It's a drama, a saga unfolding in real time. Analysts are speculating. Was this a power move by the front office to assert control? Was it a preemptive shakeup to send a message to other players? Or was it simply a miscalculation, a rash decision born out of impatience or conflicting visions for the team's future? Whatever the truth, one thing is undeniable. This is the kind of move that gets fans talking, betting on the next big signing, and questioning everything they thought they knew about their team. For Shedeur Sanders himself, the situation is equally dramatic. Imagine going from being a highly touted star, expected to lead a franchise into the next chapter, to suddenly finding yourself on the open market. It's the kind of career shock that could either derail a promising trajectory or, in true sports fashion, become the prelude to an even bigger comeback. Rumors are already swirling about which teams might show interest. Will he land with a contender looking for a dynamic playmaker? Could there be a trade deal lurking that Cleveland hasn't made public yet? Or are we witnessing the start of a story where Sanders reinvents himself elsewhere, perhaps proving all the doubters spectacularly wrong? The possibilities are endless, and the drama is only just beginning. Meanwhile, the Browns' locker room atmosphere is reportedly tense. Players who had built chemistry with Sanders are reportedly struggling to reconcile the abruptness of the decision with their own expectations. Coaches are faced with the challenge of explaining the move in press conferences in a way that doesn't alienate fans further or undermine team morale. Sports psychologists and insiders note that such high-profile cuts can have a cascading effect on locker room cohesion, particularly when the player released is young, talented, and widely admired. The Browns now find themselves navigating not just a strategic decision, but a PR storm of epic proportions. Every statement, every interview, and every subsequent move will be scrutinized under a microscope as the fan base demands both answers and accountability. And let's talk about the broader NFL context. Moves like this don't happen in isolation. Other teams are watching closely, evaluating what this could mean for their own rosters and strategies. The ripple effect could influence draft decisions, free agent signings, and even the way teams approach young quarterbacks in the coming seasons. Sports media is already drawing comparisons to past shock releases and unexpected trades, framing the story as a potential turning point for how teams handle emerging talent in an increasingly high-stakes league. It's the kind of headline that will be analyzed, debated, and referenced in sports circles for months to come, if not years. Sanders' release isn't just news. It's a case study in the unpredictable nature of professional sports, a cautionary tale for executives, and a roller coaster for fans everywhere. In short, the Cleveland Browns have just flipped the narrative upside down. Shedeur Sanders, a name synonymous with potential, promise, and the future of the franchise, is no longer with the team. Fans are livid, insiders are buzzing, and the league at large is collectively holding its breath. The decision raises more questions than it answers, ignites debates that will rage for weeks, and sets the stage for a whirlwind of speculation about the next moves, both for Sanders and for the Browns organization. Whether this was a masterstroke or a misstep of monumental proportions remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the football world will not stop talking about this anytime soon. The Browns have rewritten the script in a way no one anticipated, and the fallout is already beginning. In the world of sports, where narratives are everything and reputations are built or shattered overnight, tonight marks a chapter that fans and analysts alike will be dissecting for years. This is the kind of moment that defines careers, challenges loyalties, and proves, once again, that in professional football, nothing is ever certain, not even the future of a star quarterback. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!